Okay. You have such an exciting job, which of course brings me to brings me to Eaves Blind. And so, how did you come up with this project? I mean, it's got to be so exciting because there's your name on it.
It is exciting. When I first started thinking about this kind of annual experience, a journey to come along with me as I take the mobile laboratory on its maiden voyage,
Mhm.
I was like, I am excited to have that opportunity and a little bit of the accountability for knowing that I have some folks that are waiting on me to send them something really special. So it's going to push me to continue to create and develop the way that I work, especially in this new world.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was first thinking about it, I'm like, I could make anything. I could make like a roasted strawberry rum and throw it in this thing and send it to people, which sounds great,
It
right?
does.
And maybe that'll happen in the future. But then, I started thinking about it. People know me for whiskey, and even more specifically, they know me as Kentucky's first female bourbon master distiller.
Mhm.
So I think, kicking it off with a bourbon blind tasting kit to share some of the experience and knowledge that I've gained over more than a decade in the industry, and then maybe we can do some of the weird, fun stuff as I, develop that fan base and trust. you know.
How are you really personalizing this?
I think that it's gonna be blends, unique blends made from different sources. So
Mhm.
each of these different bottles. So you'll get 2 bottles in each of the 4 kits. So 8 blend samples total. They're going to be from different sources. They're single sources. So being able to tie it back directly to where it was made, how it was made, although they won't know that until the end of the program. So everything, all the details about where and who made it are going to be saved as like the kind of Easter
Mm.
egg at the end of the program. So it's not just about finding your palate and developing your palate and learning more about the production process of bourbon and how to tie that to the specific flavors of each one of these samples, but then also, kind of coming along with
Mm.
me and having that same aha moment that I had after leaving Kentucky a little bit and having this experience of exploration and a little bit of freedom.
Okay. Now, I have to ask, of course, how do you prefer your bourbon? I mean, do you prefer it neat, on the rocks? Are there cocktails that you're a fan of? Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Whenever I go to a bar or a restaurant that has a great cocktail program that I haven't been to before, I always want to look at the cocktail menu first because I love trying new flavors. So I want to find the funky
Mhm.
stuff that the bartender is playing with. Tasting a bourbon that I had for the first time, I always taste it neat, and that sounds kind of like work because I want to understand the flavors of it.
Right.
Sometimes I'll throw some ice in it. It kind of just depends on the mood. My favorite go-to cocktail is easily an old fashioned. I think the bourbon still shines, but there's all kinds of ways
Mm.
that you can make it unique.
Do you like it a little sweeter because you have that sweet tooth?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't mind a little extra simple syrup in there if their hand happened to slip.
Okay. Let's talk about being a first female in this industry, doing what you do in Kentucky. How has that been received, and was it difficult at any point, and with people taking you serious? Did you ever have any pitfalls along the way?
When I first made the transition from Brown Foreman to Castle and Key, there was a period, it seemed like, at least a month. It could have been more than a month, where myself and the 2 founding partners of the distillery were trying to decide on the name of the distillery because they kind of wanted to package my announcement as coming onto the team along with the announcement of the name of this new brand. But that didn't happen. And actually, it was like another year before they were able to commit to a name for the distillery. So
Hmm.
before we were ever actually able to put out a press release, Fred Minnick reached out to me and he said, Mary, if you take the title Master Distiller, you'll be the first. And I was like, I still want to think about it. It's such
He's a
a
whiskey. He's
huge.
like a whiskey journalist, correct?
He is. And
Okay,
he
I've met him
started the
once.
Bourbon Plus magazine. Yeah, he's definitely a knowledgeable guy on all things product, but then also about the history of it too, and specifically women in the industry, because he wrote a book about that, how um, women save whiskey. I think it is the tagline on
That sounds
it.
about right.
Yeah, right. As we do.
Okay.
um, yeah, so he let me know that, and then I was, I think I probably will, but I still am not ready to really take that plunge, because there was some question from others. I knew that there was going to be some controversy. I also knew that I was going to be doing the job, that even though I am young and a woman, that I am going to be reviving a distillery that's been defunct for 50 years, that I'm going to
Mm.
be creating these recipes from scratch.